Noon, a behavioral health urgent care center opened in Newton.
The center brings 24/7 access to mental health support. 12 News digital anchor Keith Grant has details new at 6 today.
Yeah, Mike, Rachel, the Prairie View Behavioral Urgent Care Center will serve people from a 3-county region, including Harvey, McPherson, and Marion. The urgent care facility replaces the hospital that closed last summer. Thanks to the urgent care center, people will not have to wait for outpatient services or go to the emergency room, which is not necessary in every situation. The urgent care center will help those dealing with mental health crises and hopefully reduce suicide rates.
People are ending up in hospital emergency rooms or in involvement with law enforcement, and there are hospital beds that are not available. So this gives folks that are in crisis a place to come and either attempt to stabilize or help us transition and work them through getting into an inpatient unit.
Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center can accommodate up to 20 people at a time, but will only provide assistance to people 18 years and older. This marks one of the first behavioral health urgent care centers to open in the state. Another facility is already open in Lawrence.